Hello everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would do a couple different parts on this video. One, I wanted to show you a few new things and some more work done to the space carrier, and then I wanted to take the space carrier in a survival game and see what it can do with weights and volumes, things like that. So, to start with, I wanted to show you a really cool creation by Ravage Society, and it is the Atlas TT 0620. And it is a HV or possibly SV mover, and it works very well with the MCRN Ballista T4. So basically, you just can drive right up to this and park it and fly off. No requirements for top mounting or anything like that. In the interior, it also has a lot of survival comforts. Two 22K storage units, as well as like performance mode. There's a light control on the dock here. You can kind of see that when I'm in range. Check that out. Look at that, scrolling like LCD arrows. I don't think I've seen this done before, so that is pretty slick. I'm gonna have to like dive into this and see what makes it tick at some point here, but that is slick. And as you get out of range, it's there. But anyway, it has no problem moving this tank around. And I did add a link to this on the MCRN Ballista T4 post. I will also put a link in the YouTube description on this. Next item I wanted to show you is by Morris. And Morris has been working on a whole theme of different creations. And this first one here has some similarities to the docking procedure that I'm trying to do on the space carrier. And I wanted to show you how this actually is working on a different ship. Now this ship does have the advantage, it is wider in this area, so it's easier to build a creation to fit it, I think. Or not as skinny, basically. There are two different modules that you can put on this ship. Now, right now I have like a gun position here, and actually, what is the name of this? These I do not believe are on the workshop yet. Wow, look at this. This is a tier 3 too. For some reason, I thought by seeing all the guns on this that this is going to be a tier 4, but no, it's not. It's a tier 3. That's pretty cool. So this is the Rennis POI Buster module, and the name of this ship is the Rennis Carrier as well. Again, these aren't on the workshop, and they're work in progress, even saying up in the name here, so they are still under construction and getting tweaked out and built and whatnot. But how this works here with this gun module is, here I'll put in a different module here in a second. You have a first-person cockpit that's over here. Now you can do this in third person as well, but it is kind of designed for first person. So you have a viewport, and then you have a guide on the back of the ship. So let's say I take up, whoop, and then I can back away. Here, I can just get out of the way of the other one here. And let's see, the other one over here is a farm module. Got a lot of farm space in it. Now the ship itself has a fair amount of farm space as well. So this would be if you're really very much into growing a lot of stuff, which is cool, and I love the option. Or you could go with weapons, you know, whatever you think works best. So up here it also has the same idea. It has a first-person cockpit here, the guide window. So let me just drag this over and see if I can get this lined up. I gotta think. I believe I'm gonna want to be centered here, or somewhere right around here. Maybe a little bit higher up in the air too. There we go. So you kind of aim for the arrows, try to get that centered in space, and then pull down. Usually give it a nice little nudge up front once you're down. And that looks pretty centered, so let's see how did that do. Pretty good. Looks like it's right in there. Maybe I could have lined it a little bit better. I'm a little bit off yet. Hold up, hold up. There we are. Let's see if I can get this a little bit snugger. I had to do this with the Transit L2 going into the Hafata spaceport too. It's like you kind of wiggle around a little bit once you get up there, and it can bring it back in better. I'm pretty close. But on the inside, on how this connects to the ship, I'm still off though. I got a gap there. I had it perfectly parked on my previous attempt at making this video. Come on, come on. Why are you giving me trouble this time? You did it perfect last time. But this reminds me is a lot of the Transit L2 too. I mean, sometimes I got it to line up perfectly. Other times I had a gap in there. Sometimes I couldn't even explain what I did different. But it can fit perfectly. And it's airtight anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But as in the rest of the carrier, it's a themed carrier along with quite a few other creations. And it looks pretty cool. A lot of carrying space, a lot of docking pads. Some elevated ones up in the front part of the ship. A lot more farm type of things. 2 27 grow plot farms, 2 16 grow plot farms. And then a pretty open, expansive glass bridge. But yeah, of course, this might look vulnerable, but this also has a secure bridge on it as well, all the way back over here. So this puts you in the mid section of the ship, along with all your vital components, such as CPU cores and the core itself. Very cool creation, though. And I do like your method of bringing in other ships to fit up here. That is pretty slick idea. There's a few other creations that are being worked on for the same theme. One over here is probably a HV mover, possibly an SV mover too. Very cool. Simple, to the point. This one is not big enough to fit the MCRN ballista, but I'm sure it can fit a lot of other things. And then a base here that's under construction, and a space station that's under construction, all matching the same theme. So awesome work, Maris. Yeah, and thanks for the heads up. Now, one lesson learned on this one, and what was pointed out to me as well, is when I was looking at the space carrier and measuring this out, I was accounting for one open block or full block on each side, saying that, hey, the ship that parks here can be a maximum of 9 blocks wide. That's actually incorrect. It can be 10 blocks wide. It can basically, then that gives you a half block space on each side on the inside, which does work. So that is cool, and when I do get to trying to work on that again, I will shoot for a 10 block wide creation instead of a 9 block creation. Anything I can get is a bonus on size. That's my biggest problem I've got with this particular design, is getting something to fit here nicely with the amount of function that I would like it to have. On the carrier, I have been doing a lot of things that I can't, it's not really much to show, but little tweaks and texture changes and lighting changes and other little things, trying to dress up existing areas. But as well, I also built an entirely new area where I haven't finished it now. I showed it briefly, and it was a UNN section. I'll just show you, and that's on that side. I'll show you what it looked like prior. Now this side here is the original section, and essentially on the other side of the ship was a mirror image of it. So there was a pub upstairs, kind of a barracks platoon room, and then a ammunition loading room. So that's what you'd see on this side, and then it also went out to this hallway here, which has a couple stairs going to the bar, and so on and so forth. Now across the hall, the new area is now complete. I reworked everything pretty much in here, except for the tavern. But that got some changes too. So I did finish off the last crew room, which is matching the UNM theme. I don't know if the blue on this is right. I don't exactly know what the show's UNN colors are. I was kind of going off memory, and I don't have any open colors to change things to match it anyway. So I'm just kind of taking a guess or something that hopefully would fit somewhat decently. So when you walk in here, you have basically a main lobby. As you go through here, you have a some kind of meeting room, probably with a bar. And then going upstairs here, you have your main conference area. And that's pretty much the section. Now, on the tavern upstairs, too, I did make some changes to that as well. And obviously, only one stairway going there instead of two now. And it's a little bit longer. Because I managed to get more space, I realized I need to tweak out this area, though. I was kind of looking at it, and I was like, oh, I missed some textures, and my light sensor's not kicking this light off up to the wall. So I got a couple fixes there to do yet. But I did get all these new areas that are on sensors as well, so they're almost done. Now, I still haven't done LCDs on the ship. Right now, I'm kind of in my final detail phase of going through every area, looking at things, basically examining, like, do I have, could I do anything more with textures? Could I do any more block work? Could I get some deco blocks in? Could I add some decals? Can I do more with the lighting? In an effort to try to make things look the best I can make them look, essentially, or know how to make them look. So that is kind of where I'm at with the carrier right now. So now what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to get out of this game, and I'm going to jump into, oh, no, wait, I wanted to resume a game. Alright, so this here is a survival game, and I wanted to check out to see what the space carrier does in a weights and volumes environment. What can it carry? How much can it carry? When can it carry it? No, I'm kidding. So let me put in a few commands here to start with. What am I missing? DM, yes. So what I just typed in here, God mode is GM. SBP, spawning of blueprints, is set to allow. In other words, I can go into the blueprint menu and spawn anything I like right now without paying for it. Item menu allows you to get into the H key, which has all your parts, and I like to call this my shopping directory here. And DM allows me to change weather if applicable, weather and time of day and things like that. Now, right now, I've got this thing in space, just chilling. Let's take a look here. I do have power in it. I have pentaxid in it. I don't have the shield on currently. My first test. Now, right now, I don't have anything docked on here. Let me head down to the crafting section. I gotta get, this thing isn't perfectly flat right now either. Now, keep in mind, this pentaxid tank here, this was a bug I found in the ship just before doing the video, and I realized that I was missing a pentaxid tank on the ship. So I'm going to find a better home for this than sitting out in the middle here. And one other distressing part I found is, here, I'm going to get out of God mode a second, and just make sure that I'm seeing this correctly. But there's two other teleporters on this ship, and they're all named. Like, if I take a look at this one here, it's called the crafting teleporter. I have one called the bridge teleporter. It is on. I didn't even put it on a sensor yet, but I wanted to see it work. And unfortunately, I don't think it's possible, which kind of sucks, because I really wanted to get the teleporters in the ship to get around the ship, but it doesn't allow you to, as far as I know, unless I'm doing something wrong, to teleport within teleporters on the same creation. Which, at that point, then I would only have one teleporter in the ship and get rid of the other ones. because it wouldn't work. And that would also force you to walk a long ways to get to some of these vital areas for survival, which I was hoping the teleporter would be a good solution, but I don't think it is set up to work in that manner, unfortunately. Now, two other things I found when I was going through this ship too is, and I got to fix this yet, is storage bay 3 and 7, although saying 320K, have 200K storage in each of these. I'm not sure how this happened, because I swear when I first built this room it wasn't that way. I'm just thinking with all the renovations and modifications and rooms that were done near it, somehow this storage container systems got broken on those too. So I will look at fixing those. Right now in some of these I have some weight. So I'm going to remove the weight right now. Just trying to remember which ones had some weight in here. And then I'm going to take this down to the atmosphere and start loading stuff up on it and seeing what it can do. And then we'll take it to space and see what it can do there as well. So I've been using combat steel as my block of choice right now, simply because 4 stacks of this equal a perfect 32,000. So as long as you hit the weight, I don't think it really matters what's in it. It all weighs the same. I used to think that, oh, you're supposed to test it with elevator blocks. Well, it doesn't really matter. Weight is weight. So I'm using pretty heavy combat steel blocks instead now. All right, so this thing is unloaded. Let me get up to the bridge and take it to the planet. We'll take a look at the gravity on the planet too. Oh, it's a moon. Why am I at a moon? I thought it was at a planet. No, this... no, this is the planet. This isn't the moon. That must have just been in the background. Alright, here's... This is why I put in DM in the command list, is so I could get this God mode back and change the time of day. Actually, it was user comments that gave me a heads up on that before. I was manually typing in time numbers with a different console command. This works out better. So here we are in the planet. Let's take a look at the planet real quick. The planet we're on has 0.97 G. Now, when I first started the survival game, there was a discrepancy here because it said that this planet was 1.06 G. When I actually got in the game, it changed and it said it was 0.97. But it's probably typical of, you know, your standard 1G planets. So with nothing on the ship, obviously I'm not really having any problems landing here. Let me get the full HUD on as well. There we go. And it gets around pretty good. I mean, it's a big ship. It's not going to turn super fast, but it can fly in weights and volumes environment. Also, CPU is on as well. So this is what you would expect for playing a normal game with all those settings on. So now let's see what this thing can actually do. Now right now I can go straight up due to the 10 lift thrusters on here now. It's not super fast at going straight up, and I'm completely unloaded. So let's start to weigh this thing up. My first test, and I'm curious about this one, I'm going to bring in another CV to park on it. And not a tiny CV either. Thinking about doing is the MCRN Draper. So this is a Class 6 CV. It was a combat steel hauled ship, and it's pretty heavy. Spec wise, it is mass 18 kilotons. So let's get this docked. Well, here, I'm going to give it a little fuel too. And let's see here. Let me let's go third person for this. See how well we do. I know this ship fits. I've done it before, so it's not a big mystery. Let's see, how did I do? So I call our landing gear down. And yeah, okay, so now we've got this parked on the side. Let's give this a little flight here and see what happens. Okay, so not hitting any thrusters right now. Looking at my altitude, it's unchanged. So now I'm going to fly a little bit here. And it looks like I'm good to go here with this in the atmosphere. Let's see, now if I just use my lift thrust, I'm still gaining some lift. So that's cool as well. So let's see it spec wise. What are we looking at here? Well, not terribly impressive numbers, but you know, I'm happy it can do this. So let's really try to stress it. Let's give it another Draper. Oh, I'm too far one direction, I guess now. I think. What the heck is going on? I must have went too close to the pole. Ah, really? All right. A sec. Let me move this ship somewhere else. No, I'm not close to a pole. What is it talking about? Why is my moon flickering? Why is everything flickering? What just happened? I don't know what just happened. Ah, oh my god, something happened to the game. It is just chop fest and screwing up. See if it snaps out of it. Yeah, I don't know what's causing that. Okay, let's try this again. Can I spawn you now? No. I can spawn you over here. Alright. Let's give you some fuel. Did, whatever that happened, it did clear up though. I'm happy to say. It seems to, again, work. Just curious how difficult this would be to dock in first person. Probably pretty challenging since you can't really see your dimensions. Okay. So, what will happen now with two of these ships docked on it here? And I'm not 100% sure if that ship's docked. I guess if it moves with the carrier, then it's docked, right? Two ships on here. I'm able to maintain altitude. Actually, if I hold down the space bar, I'm not gaining any altitude though either. I'm not losing it as well. Tell you what though, the game, having these ships on, I did seem to have a severe frame rate drop in this. For some reason, it's not liking it very much. I'm having a hard time if I'm not even moving. I don't think. Yeah, there's something seriously wrong. I don't know what's going on. But both ships are moving with this ship. I'm not sure why the thrusters didn't disengage on this one though either. Alright. Let me just take this thing. Yeah, it's something. I think the game just totally glitched out on me. The ship doesn't move anymore. It's not Something's just not right. I don't know. You know, on my I did another video of this that I didn't put out, and I didn't have this problem. But I also can tell you that with 2 of them on it, it was too heavy, and it went. I couldn't get it off into space any longer. So that was my outcome of it. Basically, with 1 of these docked on it, and a little bit of storage in there, about I'd say about 600K worth of these combat steel blocks, it would still be able to get off the ground and into space. Unfortunately, something just whacked out in the game where I can't move. I'm not even moving. I'm turning. I can't move forward, backwards, down, up. Where am I going? No, just something seriously whacked out with all the textures too. The ground and the terrain and the moon. Well, hold on. Let me. I'm gonna exit and fire that back up again. Don't know if I should have restarted the full game or not here, but all right. God mode. PP. DM. Okay, DM and IM. Okay. All right, so we're still here. We still got the drapers. Back to normal now? I think so. Yeah, okay. So we're golden again. We're moving. And actually, I'm not crashing either. Or sinking it to the ground. I'm losing altitude a little bit right now, but that was because I aimed down a little bit. I'm just curious, if I stabilize the ship, I'll hit O and just let it come to a stop here. I'm not sinking, so with 2 of these loaded, the lift thrust, at least, you know, not having any cargo storage or anything else on here, it appears I can still go upwards by just lift thrust, which is pretty cool. Never would have suspected in a million years that I could put on 2 Class 6 combat steel CVs and fly around in the atmosphere with them on this. Never really expected that to be a thing, but it is working. All right. I'll let it stop here a second, and let's give it some cargo as well here. Really stress test this thing out, huh? Alright, so let's fill up, I'll fill up 2 of these 320s right now with, so exactly 320K used. Put those, I don't really care what side. Okay, there's 2 of those. There's got to be a point that this thing collapses. I'm trying to see what that point is. Okay, so now we balance out. We are still maintaining our altitude without using any thrust. If I hold down the space bar, I can still climb, or the space bar lift thrust, I should say. Very slowly climb, but I can still climb. Flying forward. Oh, I'm going down pretty quick all of a sudden here. There we go. Stabilize that. Flying forward, I can still hit max speed for CV. Well, 59 of 60. Alright. So let's come to a stop here again. Let's give it a little bit more weight. Yes, you will sink to the ground. I will find a way. Okay, now, yeah, this is one of my bugged storage bins, so I'm not going to use it because it's got 200K. It's supposed to have 320K. Not sure what happened there. But it will be fixed. Okay, let's put another 640K of weight onto the ship. Alright, pushing forward. Son of a gun. Okay. It's not sinking. I can still very, very, very slowly lift straight up with lift thrust. Very slowly. Alright. Man, what's it going to take to collapse this thing? I'm not complaining, though. Trust me, I'm not complaining. When this thing was first being built, I really had no idea how it was going to perform. All I knew is if I set it for space only, I wouldn't need to be able to lift up with a lot of weight, and if I had enough rear thrust on it, you could move throughout space good. But this is unexpected, but in a good way. So, okay, so we put in another 320K. Okay, so not touching the thrust, I am now dropping. So I'm going to try to stabilize that with lift thrust only. Not good enough. I'm still dropping. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can counterbalance that by angling this thing upward and using the rear thrust to push it forward, which still does work. Hard to see what's going on right now. Get here. So, alright. So let's stabilize the ship again. And I think at this point, is it going to start collapsing again? No, it's not. It's actually stabilized again. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Starting to slowly drop. What happens if I get out of the cockpit? Will it still drop? No. Okay. Let's give it a little more weight. I just want to know. It's kind of fun. Seeing what this thing can actually do. Okay, so that was the bug one. Let's dump in another 320K. So I think we've got 1, 2, that one I skipped, 3, 4, that one skipped, 5, 6. So I got 6 320K storage on here, fully, just full. Plus I have actually a lot of pentaxid in here as well that I heard was quite heavy. And 2 drapers. Alright. So yeah, I'm dropping quicker now. See if I can't stabilize that with lift thrust. Still going down. Okay. But I'm pretty sure I could still point upwards and use the rear thrust. Even though I'm losing altitude even faster now. Not anymore. Okay, now the lift thrusts are kicking in the right angle, and I'm actually getting out of the atmosphere pretty quickly. Well, to be honest, I didn't expect the results of that, but I think that would be beneficial because it's almost like, yes, you could have quite a few things docked to this, plus some storage on here, and still be able to uh, fly in the atmosphere, at least on a 1G planet. Now, I highly would recommend taking this ship on anything more than 1G. If you are mistaken and all of a sudden you can't get back off the surface, it's kind of that could be a nightmare for quite an expensive ship. So, again, it wasn't really designed to do that, but it can do it pretty good, despite all of this. And so, yeah, this is kind of cool. So I'm flying around a class 54 ship with 2 class 6 ships on its side. In space, let's see how it does in space. Now with all the, and I've got 6 320k storage bins full right now, plus pentaxid. I don't have any ammo in the ship. At speed, I'm able to do max speed in space right now too. In fact, let's say something here. If I were going to set in a warp point somewhere, let's lock the target. And what was the speed needed to warp? Was there a speed limit needed to warp anymore? Not sure. There used to be, you had to hit a certain speed before you could warp. But I didn't see it display anything now. But yeah, I still got my drapers with me, so all that worked. And it's still maneuverable. So yeah, guys, pretty happy with that. This thing works. Got to fix up my little problems with the storage and the pentaxid tank, and start working on LCDs and a little bit more body tweaks and interior tweaks, or just detailing things. But other than that, it's vastly done at this point in time, and it actually works a little bit better than I thought it was going to work. I did not expect being able to do what I did, carrying all this from the planet's surface up into space. And that is only with 10 large lift thrusters. But it made a huge difference going from 6 to 10 on lift thrusters. In fact, I was eyeballing this area, wondering if there's any possible way I could squeeze in another lift thruster over here as well. But that really messes up the room above it. I managed to get by with this and hide it, where you didn't really notice a severe difference. This is an extremely dangerous room to be walking around in anyway. That's why it's got this observation balcony to look at it. But yeah, it all worked out. And the same thing with adding more lift thrusters on the front. I was able to modify the front rooms enough where you can't really tell too much was changed at all. It all still fit just fine. So here's kind of where those lift thrusters are on the front in this area. Not perfectly aligned on the ship, so everything's kind of rotated weird right now. And all the other little nooks and crannies of the ship have been done too. So it's, yeah, I mean, it was short of LCDs and those 2 bugs I pointed out there, known bugs. There's probably more. Oh, plus the sensor light in the other room, so that's 4 things to look at. It's just about 100% done. The LCD could be a fairly large and time-consuming project yet as well. But yeah, anyway, hope that gives you a good idea on what to expect from this. And you know, you could do a lot of tests. Now, I could have lined this up with bazillions of HVs and SVs too, and docked them all over the place, as opposed to using 2 bigger ships. But I just wanted to get something, less ships with more weight is what I was looking at. There's a lot of other CVs I can dock on here too. This is I think the biggest CV I made that fits okay, I think. I'm not sure what else would fit in there. There was a comment I got about someone somewhere said that this could dock 4 Perseus carriers on it, and I kind of disagree. I I guess it depends on your definition of docking. Yes, it kind of can, but you're not going to get all 4 landing gear of any of those Perseus carriers on the flight deck at once. The ship is too wide to do that. So you would have a landing gear or 2 on each ship sitting off to the side. Let me balance this out real quick, and I'll spawn a Perseus carrier just to kind of show you what I was talking about. It's just a weird question that was asked, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but it depends on the rule set that you're looking at. What is a legitimate docking or not? Like these, I consider them legitimate because all the landing gear, even at its widest point, are on the actual flight deck and locked down. If one was floating over the edge, I would say that this ship is too big to dock on here. Although in the game it works, and I think if you literally only had 1 landing gear touching the ship, it is docked. But to me, that just doesn't make sense in reality, even though it does work in the game. Speaking of Perseus carrier, CV2. This will be kind of a neat little size comparison now too. So yeah, and the problem with the Perseus carrier is if you notice how much wider it is than the Draper in the back, that you don't have enough width to get these at least one side of the landing gear to mount on this. Lengthwise, I suppose it's about half the length, roughly, of the space carrier. So the analogy of saying it could dock 4 Perseus carriers kind of is true. It just depends on, what you consider docking or not. Me, like I already explained, I don't think it's big enough to look right with a Perseus docked on it. But, if I got one of these back landing gears touching this part of the runway over here, it's technically docked. So it is true. But yeah, one of those things. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope, once I get this out, it's probably going to be a week yet. I want to get in the LCDs, make sure everything else is in tip-top shape, and then I will get this out to the workshop after many, many, many months. Granted, I didn't work on it the whole time, but this is by far the biggest project I've done or attempted to do and might ever do for Empyrion. I don't foresee myself trying to build another ship anywhere near this size in the future. This was a lot. The only creation I could foresee being as big as what this space carrier is might be something to do with a modular construction space station or something. That I could see, because that it wouldn't take near the amount of time that something like this did. All right, well, anyway, you all have yourselves a good day, and I do plan on doing another video this week, and I'll come up with some more stuff to show. And y'all take it easy. See you later.